Welcome back. We have some very sad breaking entertainment news to share with you. TMZ is reporting that Malcolm-Jamal Warner, probably best known for his role on The Cosby Show, has died. People report that the 54-year-old was in Costa Rica on a family vacation and accidentally drowned while swimming.
Stunning death of actor Malcolm-Jamal Warner.
Breaking entertainment news, Malcolm-Jamal Warner has died.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, dead at the age of 54 on a drown.
Made me think of Black excellence in a different way, right? Like, because Black excellence now is attributed to fame and money.
Never.
So that's been my issue.
Never for me.
With it. But now when I'm looking into the story, like Black survival in and of itself is Black excellence.
Because we've always had to supersede, do better, and more things have been put in our way to cross over.
And see, the thing about it, I don't ever look at it as a subset. I look at it as special. Because excellence, white people mediocre. Always have been. They don't have to try as hard. They don't have to, because somebody else will come clean it up. We've never had that luxury. We've always had to be twice, 10 times as good. So Black excellence is better. It's just what it is. We just put Black on it because it is. We've had to always be that. We've never, no matter what we've done, and even when we're better than them, they still will find a way to put somebody over us. That's just what it is.
Media focuses on, and
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, we're not all hood. The Black community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the Black community, and we wanted to have a space where we could acknowledge, discuss all of those lanes, because they're so varied in terms of our perspectives and our opinions and our ways of life, and we wanted to be able to have a place where we can talk about all of those things, discuss all of those things, and shed light on the not all hood aspects of who we are.
All right. And Candace.
The name came from our third host, Wayusi Baraka. And the reason for the title is combating the narrative of Black life or Black culture that the media focuses on. And,
that we're all one thing.
Yeah. And the whole concept is, we're not all.
Something about this doesn't sit right. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the beloved TV icon who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, is dead at 54. On paper, it looks like a tragic accident. A family vacation in Costa Rica gone wrong. A fatal drowning and notoriously dangerous beach. But behind the headlines, a chilling picture is starting to form. No witnesses. No videos. Conflicting timelines. A haunting final podcast episode released just 2 days before his death, where he seemed to be saying goodbye. Now, Malcolm's family is refusing to stay silent, and they're ready to expose what they believe really happened. Was this really an accident, or was Malcolm silenced? Malcolm-Jamal Warner is gone, and the shock is rippling across the world like a wave nobody saw coming. The actor, activist, and cultural icon who helped shape a generation through his groundbreaking role as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show has tragically died at just 54 years old. According to initial reports, Malcolm was on a family vacation in Costa Rica when the unthinkable happened. What was supposed to be a moment of peace, joy, and rest turned into a nightmare. While swimming off the shores of Clay Beach, a site known for its beauty but infamous for its violent rip currents, Malcolm was pulled under. By the time help arrived, it was too late. The news broke like a punch to the chest. 1 minute, he was alive and thriving, sharing thoughtful conversations on his podcast and enjoying time with his loved ones. The next, headlines were flooding social media, announcing that the beloved actor had drowned in what authorities quickly labeled a tragic accident. For fans who grew up watching him on television, who saw themselves in the intelligent, charming, and emotionally complex character he portrayed for nearly a decade, this was more than just another celebrity death. This felt personal. It felt impossible. Malcolm wasn't just a face on TV. He was the face of young Black boyhood for an entire generation. His presence on The Cosby Show broke barriers, challenged stereotypes, and offered representation that was sorely lacking in mainstream media. But his impact didn't stop when the credits rolled. Malcolm evolved over the years, from teen star to thoughtful artist, poet, and social commentator. While many former child actors faded into obscurity or spiraled into scandal, Malcolm did something rare. He stayed grounded. He stayed real. And he never stopped using his voice to uplift others. That's why this loss cuts so deep. Because it wasn't just about who Malcolm was. It was about what he still could have been. He had more to say, more to give, more stories to tell. And to lose him in such a sudden, senseless way, on a trip meant for family bonding and healing, is a heartbreak that words barely cover. Clay Beach, the location of Malcolm's death, has long been a magnet for tourists, but also a silent killer. Locals know it for its unpredictable tides and powerful undercurrents that have claimed lives before. And yet, despite its deadly reputation, there were reportedly no lifeguards on duty that day. No safety flags. No warning signs visible to those just trying to enjoy the ocean. And now, one of our most respected black voices is gone. Taken in seconds. But while the headlines call it tragedy, some are already questioning if that word is enough or even accurate. Because the more you look at the circumstances, the more the story starts to feel off. And the more people dig, the more they start to wonder, was this really just an accident? Or is there something deeper, something darker, lurking beneath the surface? Stay with us, because what comes next might change everything you thought you knew about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's final days. From the very beginning, the official version of events was handed to the public like a pre-packaged explanation. Malcolm-Jamal Warner tragically drowned while swimming off the coast of Costa Rica. Authorities insisted it was a freak accident. Nothing more, nothing less. They claimed the waters were rough that day, the undercurrent strong, and the actors simply got caught in a dangerous tide. The headlines made it sound open and shut. No foul play, no deeper investigation, just a horrible twist of fate. But the moment those reports hit the internet, something didn't sit right. Because even if you accept the idea that Malcolm drowned, the details surrounding how it happened, and what wasn't in place to prevent it, are raising some serious eyebrows. For one, let's talk about the beach itself. Playa Clay, also called Clay Beach by locals, isn't some off-the-grid, remote stretch of ocean. It's a well-known tourist destination, often packed with visitors, surfers, and families. And it's notorious for being dangerous. This isn't new. Locals have been warning about it for years. The currents are unpredictable. The drop-offs come out of nowhere. This beach has a reputation, and it's not a good one. Which begs the question, if this beach is so dangerous, where were the safety precautions? Why wasn't there a single lifeguard on duty that day? That's not just an oversight. That's a failure. Costa Rica's own water safety officials later admitted that Clay Beach had been on their radar for a long time. They knew the risks. They knew the history. So why, of all days, when a high-profile celebrity was swimming with his family, was there no one posted for surveillance? No flags indicating rip currents. No signs telling people not to swim. No emergency flotation devices stationed nearby. Nothing. And when pressed, the excuse they gave only added fuel to the fire. Authorities claimed that the reason no lifeguards were present was due to resource limitations. But let's be real. If a beach is known for deadly conditions, shouldn't it automatically receive more resources? Not less? And how convenient that, after Malcolm's death, officials suddenly made a big announcement saying they were now redirecting personnel and equipment back to Clay Beach. That's a stunning admission. So they knew it was dangerous. They knew it needed coverage. But they only acted once a black celebrity lost his life there. The timing doesn't just feel reactive, it feels like a cover-up. And the inconsistencies don't end there. Local reports vary wildly when it comes to the timeline of what happened that day. Some say bystanders saw Malcolm struggling in the water and tried to help. Others say emergency responders arrived quickly. Still others suggest there was a significant delay before help ever showed up. But here's the problem. Nobody can seem to agree on when or how long Malcolm was actually in distress before he was pulled from the water. That kind of chaos in reporting isn't just sloppy, it's suspicious. If this was such a straightforward case, why are there so many unanswered questions? Why does the timeline shift with every new update? There's also the eerie lack of visual evidence. And that might sound insensitive, but let's be honest. In 2025, when everyone has a camera in their hand, how is it that not one single photo, not one blurry video, not one anonymous social media post has surfaced from the beach that day? This is a tourist hotspot. People post everything, even when they shouldn't. We live in an era where folks will live stream a fight, a fall, even a fatal moment, especially when a celebrity is involved. So for there to be absolutely no footage, no documentation, not even a secondhand TikTok from someone who heard what happened, it's beyond strange. It's almost as if someone wanted to erase the moment altogether. And let's not forget, this was a family vacation. Malcolm wasn't alone. His daughter was reportedly present. So where are the first-hand statements? Why hasn't she or anyone close to him spoken publicly about the timeline? Are they grieving privately? Or are they being silenced? Because according to people close to the family, they're already raising serious doubts behind the scenes. They don't believe this was a random accident. They believe something's missing from the story, and they're not the only ones. It all paints a picture that feels too polished, too neatly wrapped, too quiet. The kind of silence that doesn't come from grief, it comes from fear. Something about this entire tragedy feels staged. Not necessarily in the way of faked events, but in the way that key details were cleaned up before the public could see them. No lifeguards, no footage, no consistent story. And suddenly, safety measures are being reinstated after a high-profile death. That's not just poor planning. That feels like someone trying to stay ahead of the fallout. And if that's true, then Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't just drown in dangerous waters. He drowned in neglect, in suspicion, and possibly, just possibly, in something far more deliberate. Here's what really has people doing a double take. What's missing from the scene of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death? Because in 2025, when every moment is captured, uploaded, reposted, and dissected across 10 platforms before it even finishes happening, we're expected to believe that no one caught anything. Not a single clip, not a distant photo, not one TikTok from a tourist standing nearby. Let's be honest, when's the last time a public tragedy, especially one involving a celebrity, went completely undocumented? We're talking about Clay Beach, a destination that draws hundreds of visitors a day. This isn't some remote, hidden cove only the locals know about. It's a highly trafficked area known for scenic views, warm water, and unfortunately, dangerous currents. And it's constantly crawling with tourists. Families, influencers, honeymooners, you name it. So the idea that on that specific day, with someone as recognizable as Malcolm-Jamal Warner walking along the sand or swimming in the ocean, not one person took a video or snapped a photo. That's not just unlikely, it's damn near impossible. And let's not pretend we live in a society that respects boundaries in moments like this. Because we don't. We've all seen the footage when celebrities fall, when they cry, when they're being arrested, when they collapse, people record. Phones go up, posts go viral. Even in the darkest moments, clout chasers and so-called citizen journalists are everywhere. That's the world we live in. So for there to be complete silence from that beach, no eyewitness interviews, no grainy Instagram story, no anonymous Reddit thread claiming I was there, that silence, it's deafening. It feels curated. And it gets worse. Reports from local authorities say there were bystanders who tried to help Malcolm when he was seen struggling in the water. If that's true, then where are those people? Where's the Good Samaritan who gave a statement? Where's the couple walking the beach who watched the rescue unfold? Where's the cell phone footage of emergency responders doing CPR? Or even just the crowd gathering after he was pulled from the water? We get footage of everything else. Celebrity airport meltdowns, on-stage mishaps, even stolen ring footage from people's front porches. But the mysterious, deadly drowning of a world-famous actor at a tourist hotspot leaves nothing, not even a single blurry frame. That's suspicious by any measure. It's not about wanting to see tragedy. It's about understanding patterns. Because usually someone, somewhere, is going to capture something. Especially when the person at the center of it all isn't just any man in swim trunks. He's Malcolm-Jamal Warner. A cultural figure. A recognizable face. A voice that's been speaking out more and more lately. Drawing new attention to old systems. Shining a light in places the powerful would rather keep dark. Which is why some fans are starting to ask the unthinkable. Was this silence intentional? Because if you wanted to make something disappear, if you wanted to make sure no one had a real look at what happened, you need to control two things, the scene and the story. And so far, that's exactly what's been happening. Every narrative has come from officials. Every statement from police. Every fact carefully worded to reassure the public that this was just a sad, random accident. But what the public hasn't seen, the raw moments, the timeline, the chaos that's usually visible when tragedy strikes in public. It's all been scrubbed clean, like it never happened in the first place. And you have to ask, what exactly are they protecting? The family's privacy or the truth? Because right now, Malcolm's fans aren't buying the official line. They've seen this play out too many times before. The missing footage, the inconsistent details, the sudden silence. It's a pattern, and it's always followed by one chilling reality. Once the cameras are off and the noise dies down, we're left with a closed case and a pile of unanswered questions. So here's the truth. We may never see that footage. It may never exist, or maybe it was never allowed to exist. But what's clear is this. The silence around Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death isn't peaceful. It's loud, and the longer it goes on, the more people are realizing that this isn't just about what happened. It's about what didn't. Behind the carefully worded press statements and the eerie media silence, something else has been brewing. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's family isn't buying the official story. Not entirely. Not anymore. Publicly, they've been respectful, quiet. But behind closed doors, sources say the mood is far from accepting. In fact, insiders claim his inner circle has been furious, demanding answers, challenging timelines, and calling out what they see as a botched, incomplete investigation. And when those answers weren't given freely, the family reportedly took matters into their own hands. According to two people close to the Warner estate, a private investigator was quietly hired less than a week after Malcolm's death. Not a public announcement. No flashy media alert. Just a discreet move that suggests the family suspects there's more to this story. A lot more. And one of the first things that investigator allegedly zeroed in on? Malcolm's condition before he ever set foot in the water. Sources claim the family was told by local authorities that Malcolm seemed disoriented before entering the ocean. Disoriented? That's not something you just brush off. Was he drugged? Exhausted? Under duress? And here's where it gets darker. There are whispers, unconfirmed but persistent, that Malcolm may have been followed in the days leading up to his trip. One friend even said he felt watched while dining with him 2 nights before the flight to Costa Rica. Another noted that Malcolm had recently complained about strange calls to his hotel room and aggressive strangers asking odd questions at events. In isolation, those details feel random. But in the context of his sudden, silent death, they feel like red flags. The family's refusal to accept the packaged version of events is the clearest sign, yet that something isn't right. They're asking why no autopsy photos have been released, why Malcolm's phone and laptop were allegedly lost in transit back to the States, and why the only confirmed statement from Costa Rican authorities came just hours after the death, before any thorough investigation could have possibly been completed. This isn't a family in denial. This is a family in pursuit of the truth. And what they're finding is making them deeply uneasy. If there's one moment that has turned suspicion into obsession among Malcolm-Jamal Warner's fans, it's the podcast episode he released just 48 hours before his death. Titled Not All Hood, the episode was part of a limited-run series where Malcolm talked candidly about Black identity, survival, and what it means to exist unapologetically in spaces not built for you. But this episode? This one hit different. In the episode, Malcolm spoke in a tone fans describe as unusually reflective, almost as if he knew something was coming. At one point, he said, and this clip has since gone viral, racking up millions of views on TikTok and Twitter. Black survival in itself is Black excellence. Not wealth, not fame, not even health. Just making it to the next sunrise. That's our revolution. It didn't sound like a motivational speech. It sounded like a farewell. Fans have gone into deep analysis, breaking down every pause, every breath, every deviation from his usual delivery. Some say it feels like a veiled warning. Others believe it was Malcolm's final attempt to leave behind a truth he feared might be silenced. And more chilling still, just hours after the episode dropped, Malcolm posted an Instagram story with a simple caption, "Stay aware. They always watching." That story disappeared. His account was wiped just 2 days later. Coincidence? Maybe. But the internet has receipts, and what they're piecing together feels less like speculation and more like prophecy. 6. Malcolm's outspokenness and historical patterns. This wouldn't be the first time a bold black voice was met with a mysterious silence. Malcolm-Jamal Warner had spent the last decade shedding the image of America's former sweetheart son and stepping into his power as a fearless cultural commentator. He spoke openly about systemic racism. He criticized performative allyship in Hollywood. He named names. He called out studios, agents, even other actors for selling out the community to maintain their comfort. He challenged the very machine that once made him rich. And in America, that kind of truth-telling is rarely left unchecked. Because there's a disturbing pattern here, one that Black America has seen far too many times. When outspoken voices rise, when they challenge white supremacy, corporate greed, and the sanitized myth of racial progress, they don't always live to finish the conversation. Remember Nipsey Hussle? Gunned down at the height of his economic activism. Remember Martin Lawrence? Labeled crazy after his now infamous street ran about being followed. By who? We still don't know. Dave Chappelle? Fled the country, called paranoid, then returned to warn us all. And Angie Stone? Blacklisted after calling out the music industry's exploitation of black women. When black truth-tellers stop playing the game, they become dangerous, not to the people, but to power. And now, with Malcolm-Jamal Warner, after years of quiet rebellion, capped off with one final, possibly coded podcast episode, his life ends in the most convenient tragedy of all, an accidental drowning. In silence, without footage, on a beach known for danger, with no lifeguard, no rescue, no justice. It's a chilling echo of every story we've heard before, and every story they tried to erase. As more details slowly emerge, a chilling new theory has begun to circulate, and it's one that changes everything. What if Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't simply drown because he was overwhelmed by the ocean? What if he was poisoned before he ever touched the water? Multiple sources close to the family now claim that the private investigator hired by Malcolm's loved ones is seriously considering the possibility of a slow-acting toxin, something that would cause confusion, disorientation, loss of muscle control. Something subtle, undetectable at first, but fatal when mixed with physical exertion, like swimming in strong surf. That would explain why, according to early reports, Malcolm appeared unsteady or not himself shortly before entering the water. It would explain the lack of a struggle, the almost too convenient way he slipped beneath the waves without anyone noticing. But what makes this even more horrifying? He wasn't alone. His daughter was there. Yes, Malcolm's young daughter, whom he fiercely protected from the public eye, was reportedly on that beach. Sources say she was just feet away when her father entered the water and never came back. Imagine the trauma. Imagine watching the person who raised you, who loved you, who taught you everything about survival and resistance, suddenly vanish in silence. And yet, not a single public statement has been made by local authorities about her presence. No reports, no follow-up, almost as if they don't want the world to know that a child may have witnessed a tragedy far more sinister than a drowning. Almost as if someone is burying the story along with the truth. This isn't an isolated incident. If you've been paying attention, you already know that Malcolm's story echoes something much larger. A pattern that's been unfolding for years, quietly, consistently, fatally. Just look at Angie Stone. Before her alleged car crash in late 2024, a crash many fans believe was staged, Angie posted a cryptic message on Instagram. It read, "If they come for me, know I never sold out. They know what I know." That post was deleted within minutes. Her account was scrubbed within hours. And days later, she was gone. Now add Jamie Foxx to the timeline. Last year, Fox suffered a mysterious medical emergency that left him hospitalized and out of the public eye for weeks. No official diagnosis. Conflicting accounts from his team. And when he finally reappeared, he didn't look or speak like the Jamie we knew. He hinted at retaliation, warned fans to watch who you trust, and then went silent again. What happened to Jamie? What was he silenced from saying? And now Malcolm, the clean-cut former child star turned radical thinker. Another voice gone too soon, under suspiciously perfect circumstances. The pattern is undeniable. These aren't coincidences, they're erasures. Strategic silences. One by one, the voices that speak too clearly about injustice, corruption, and power are disappearing. And if that doesn't terrify you, it should. So why Malcolm-Jamal Warner? Why would a man who played a sitcom's son become a threat big enough to erase? Because Malcolm evolved. He didn't get stuck in nostalgia. He used it as fuel. He transformed the fame he earned as Theo Huxtable into leverage to publish poetry, produce spoken word albums, and speak unfiltered truths about Black existence in America. He wasn't chasing clout. He was cultivating consciousness. He wasn't tabloid bait. He wasn't out here spiraling in scandals. He was clean, respected, quietly building a loyal base of thinkers, artists, and change-makers who listened to him. And that made him dangerous. Hollywood loves a messy Black celebrity. It knows how to market chaos. But Malcolm was order. He was clarity. He was proof that you could rise from the machine and still walk away with your integrity intact. That you could survive fame and still speak truth. And that is what gets people silenced. Because when you're articulate, moral, beloved, and unbought, you're not just a threat to the status quo. You're a threat to everything they've built. So here we are. A 54-year-old man, in good health, mysteriously drowns on a dangerous beach with no lifeguards, no warning signs, and no witnesses. His phone and laptop? Lost. His Instagram? Scrubbed. His final podcast? Sounding more like a goodbye letter than a conversation. And his family? Quietly pushing for a private investigation while grieving in silence. Then there's the missing footage, the conflicting accounts, the daughter who was right there, the friend saying he felt followed, the whispers of poisoning, and the industry that had every reason to want him gone. So you tell us, was this a tragic accident or a targeted silencing? Was this the ocean's fault or someone else's? Drop your thoughts below. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And stay tuned because this story is far from over.